Let's take a look at it, guys. What have we got here? It says, what are the slopes of lines parallel and perpendicular to the line whose equation is 3x minus 4y equals 16? A lot of words there. Looking for slopes of lines that are parallel and perpendicular. So two slopes to a line whose equation is 3x minus 4y equals 16. Let's take a look at this problem, all right? This is getting us into a little bit of pre-algebra and a little algebra 1, kind of a quasi, a little of both, all right? And then you'll use it again in geometry and algebra 2, on up the ladder. So this is a pretty particularly important problem of the day today. So let's take a look at this. We've got 3x minus 4y equaling to 16. Now, this is what we call standard form of an equation of a straight line. So we already know that this line is a line. This equation represents a line, all right? But what we need to do is figure out how we're going to graph it. How are we going to figure out the slope from this information? Well, the best way to do it is get y by itself. Y by itself. Now, what's keeping us from getting y by itself? Well, I see a 4, actually a minus 4 there. But then this 3x is also a problem. So let's take care of one thing at a time. One thing at a time. We're going to subtract that 3x from both sides, all right? And say goodbye to it on the left. It's going to move it to the right. But we're going to have a negative 4y. By the way, don't forget to keep that minus, that negative there. It's important. It's important. Don't lose it just because you got rid of the 3x. That little sign in front of the 4 is hanging on, all right? Over here on the other side, well, I have a negative 3x and a 16. By the way, don't try to add those together because x's and just good old numbers do not mix, all right? Got to be like terms, and these are not. They are not like terms. So where do we go from here? You say, well, we want slope-intercept form. We're getting close. That's why we're getting y by itself here, by the way. So what that means is we want this like little, you hear y equals mx plus b. Boy, that was a tongue twister. Y equals mx plus b. Say that 20 times, not today, all right? But let's put a minus 4 with that because we're going to divide. Now the catch is, once we start dividing something on the left, we've got to divide everything on the right. So let's go ahead and divide negative 4 through the right-hand side of this equation, and let's see what we have. The 4's cancel. We're left with y, which is good news. On this side, I've got a negative 3 divided by negative 4. Now, folks, two negatives, when we divide, and by the way, that's what that means. 3 over 4 means 3 divided by 4. We go positive, all right? Two negatives make a positive when you're dividing, all right? So we got 3/4 of x, and last but not least, divide negative 4 into 16, we get minus 4, all right? Now, you say, Ernie, what's that going to do for us? Well, what's going to do for us, right there is our slope. Right there is the slope of this line. Now, we're asked about what are the slopes for the lines parallel, and what about the line for the slope that is perpendicular? So in other words, I said we're going to have two slopes. In the opening of the problem today, I did two slopes. So first of all, let's talk parallel. Let's see if I can spell it. There we go. Parallel. Big R. Big R. It's got to be there. All right. Now, what is the parallel situation when it comes to slopes? The slopes are going to be the same. So the m, by the way, we usually say m for that slope. We'll give it a 3/4 right there. That's for the parallel. All right. The other one, that other P word that sometimes we get confused, all right, is perpendicular. Perpendicular means they're going to come together and make right angles, all right, the two lines would. They intersect and they're going to form right angles. By the way, right angles have 90 degrees. Some of you may have thought, what about 90-degree angles? Same thing. Let's get a big U on that one. I'm in a real weird mood today here. All right. How do you know the slope, though, of the perpendicular line? Well, it's certainly not 3/4 because that runs parallel. And you think, maybe it's something negative, like maybe negative 3/4, but that's not going to make a right angle. What we have to do, we have to go a little further with that. We go to the opposite reciprocal, which means it's going to be negative, and we're going to basically make a reciprocal, which means interchange your denominator and your numerator, right? So we're going to have a negative 4/3 there for our slope of the perpendicular. They're not the same. Notice they're opposite reciprocals of each other. Now, you say, well, what about that negative 4? Negative 4 places the line as our starting point. That's the y-intercept. But all we're concerned with is, yes, we're concerned about naming the slopes.